Hello everybody, it's your boy N here. I'm coming at you guys with another YouTube video. So in today's video, I'm going to be looking at basically what I think is a really helpful resource for a lot of players. So if you know already, I did make a sheet which is the Ancestor mod sheet. So this is a sheet which basically gives you every single build with every single Descendant and gives you what I think is their best skill power boost ratio. So the skill power boost ratio that you can roll on your Ancestor mods. It'll also give you the essential roles that I think are the best or most important roles. The one highlighted in red is the role that you want to get the most though. So if you could choose one, or if you aim for one and you get it in a really high stat, it becomes more usable, is the way I would look at it. Then I've given you two essential roles that would be something that you would look for, and then an optional role. So you know, if you want to go with the 3+1 negative, then that would also be your third stat, something inside of here. I've given you the ideal negatives for each individual build here as well, and then I've also ended it off with the ideal trigger mods for every single build too. Now the way that you would read this is, let's say for example, let's go with Bunny over here because she's nice and easy to read. So with Bunny, which build do you want to be using? I'd want to be using the crit mobbing build, for example. So what would I want? Ideally, I would want the skill power boost ratio to be electric and fusion. If I get a fusion skill power boost ratio, I would definitely want to keep that. If I can get an essential role, what would be the most important thing? Crit rate. Crit damage would also be a really good stat too. So crit rate, crit damage, and if we get fusion, that'd be nice. If we don't get a boost ratio, all good. Which other stat would we want? Either skill cost, cooldown, or range. Sounds good, right? So that's what we'd go. We're going to get a negative. What negatives are best for this setup? A negative defense, a negative max shield, a negative HP if you are willing to play with that, or a negative singular modifier. Bunny with this build does all her damage and fusion, so going negative singular modifier is fine. Boost ratio could be a little bit of a sticky situation, so ideally you just want to stick with modifiers, if that, depending on the character. Some of them have modifiers that are sky high. Bunny has incredibly high modifier as an example, so this doesn't really make much of a difference. With this setup, which which trigger mod would I want to match this up with? As an example, it would be Power Beyond, because Power Beyond works with like basically everything. The red color on the negatives hurt my eyes. Well, good. Well, no, I'm joking, not good, that's bad. I'll have a look into changing the color then. Thanks for the feedback, Sin. But with a lot of the Descendants, you'll realize that, well, majority of them are Power Beyond simulator, apart from specific few. If you think I've messed up and stuff like that, please do let me know. Or if you do see any errors or anything that you want to maybe question me about, drop it in the comments or something like that. But basically, I've gone through and I've done this for every single Descendant with literally every single build, and these are my opinions and these are based off my own setups. So if you run another person's setup or you make your own setups and stuff like that, this might not work the absolute best for you, but it's a very good indication on what you would want out of your Ancestor mods. Now, to make this concept even further, I also say that you can build every single Descendant into crit. So I also made a value sheet with crit rate on it. So this includes all 4 base crit mods, and it does not include any buffs. For example, Supply Moisture buffing crit rate, or Cold Heart with Haley, or Shattered Heart with Nell. This is just the raw Ancestor mod and the base crit mod. This also doesn't include the RK tuning tree or the reactor or any weapon buffs like the blue beetle for fusion Descendants. Again, we'll just take Bunny as a quick example over here. All 4 mods with Bunny, her base crit rate is 10% and her base crit damage is 1.3. If we look at just the 2+, this is the max value you can get on the Ancestor mod, and if we follow the formula that we had on here as well, this would give us the crit rate at about 52.64. I've also color coded this, so red is a little bit on the lower side of crit rate, but still can be used. Orange is like we're getting into solid crit rate, and green is like, yeah, 100% use this type of territory. Now, with this as well, like I said, this doesn't include the blue beetle, this doesn't include the reactor, it doesn't include the arcade tuning tree, so you could probably get this to like maybe 60, 70, something like that, depending on the values and so on and so forth. Again, ideally, with a lot of Descendants, you are going to want to aim for the 2+1 negative stat. For the absolute highest values across everything, you're going to want 2 pluses and 1 negative stat. If you go with the 3+1 negative, this is better for quality of life and allows you to slot into the build, or if you are after something very specific, you can use it to change the setup. With a lot of Descendants, their setups with Ancestor mods kind of just turns into something similar. If you get something along the lines of cooldown, you can basically drop your focus on mods and then replace it with something like power increase for majority of your Descendants. In the higher tier of content, power increase kind of just cooks it. Then with that, you can see here I'm still at cooldown cap, so that is an example. You can also use any external component set depending on the value of your cooldown. So I'm using Slayer set with Bunny. And then on the arcade tuning tree, I'm also building for damage instead of for cooldown on there as well. So that's basically what you mostly will do if you get cooldown on your Ancestor, as well as replace a cooldown mod if you want to as well. So you can replace Nimble Fingers, or you can replace MP conversion, depending on how high your cooldown is. With this here, I wouldn't really bother with anything more than just changing one focus on mod. I wouldn't use power increase on this specific setup, but you can do that, is basically the main thing that I would say. I'm going to go back to using focus on electric on this specific setup, at least for Bunny. The other option is, well, crit. With crit with any Descendant, it kind of falls into the same contraband. You can just basically slap on crit mods. With this, again, this would be where I would sacrifice. I'm not saying this is the perfect example, but this is what you would most likely be able to do. If we go in with critical, most people are probably running all 4 crit mods for basically every Descendant. This is kind of what you should do. With crit Ancestors as well, you would basically just be able to grab them, slap them onto the build. So you can see here I have crit rate and crit damage at incredibly high value. So what would I do? You can usually get away with replacing rate more than damage. With this, you can see the crit rate is just ridiculously high. So with this, I would go with that. I'd also use the Blue Beetle with Bunny, and then I've got crit rate, crit damage on my arcade tuning tree. And if I really want to go crazy with the max amount of crit I can achieve, I would also get crit rate on the fusion reactor, or just on the reactor as well. I don't even think I have one with rate, because rate doesn't matter. Alright, there you go, I do have one. So there you go. Now with this, you just apply and play the game, or play Bunny just the normal way that you would play Bunny in the first place, and you'll just end up with, you know, what you'd expect with Bunny regardless. So for example, I don't know, jump into the middle of here, 1.5 billion nukes, just, you know, something like that. This is obviously cooked because I'm not using the setup properly, but just in general, you'll see that the crits can go absolutely ballistic. I know this is lab scenario testing, but it can definitely be a lot more than that. And because I just slapped the Ancestor on without fixing the rest of the setup, my cooldown is horrible. But that's basically the 2 main things you can get away with. With crit, you replace one mod. With cooldown, you replace one cooldown mod and basically build into like a similar style of thing anyways. So I'm just gonna fix this setup a little bit later, so we'll leave that out of the way for now. Now with the second or last variation on the sheet, it was for the abilities. Now this was an additional extra. Shout out to Apocalyptos and Baker for working on this one so hard, because they definitely put more effort in than I did for this one at least. But the way that this sheet works is basically it will show you the skill. For example, Serena, skill 1, skill 2, skill 3, skill 4. It will give you the names of all of the individual skills, the element of the skill, so for example, fire with Serena, and then it will also give you the skill type, so singular and non-attribute or singular dimension or whatever it is. You also include passive skills as well, so there will always be an A. Now with this, you can use this to find Descendant tags really quickly. Let's say for example I wanted to find every Descendant that has a chained ability. I would just write chained, and in here it will highlight green, so you can see for example Glaze second ability. Okay, let's read it. So what would it be? Which red mod? It would be explosive life. It would be skill 2, and this has chained on it. Then you can use this to look around and basically highlight every skill that it works on everywhere with every single Descendant anyways. So the way that this works is just kind of like that. As an example, Blair over here, disgusting vile little creature, skill 2 has a chained effect too. So when newer trigger mods come out and stuff like that, you are just able to basically just have a look at what they need, check against them, and this is a nice little filter to just see every single Descendant that you can use it on. It's a good way to like help synergize builds and stuff like that, but that's basically what this part is used for. But yeah, the link for this Ancestor mod sheet will be in the description of this video. It'll also be in the pinned comment. Make sure to share it around. The more people using it, the better, I guess. It's just a nice little resource designed to help people out. So yeah, just wanted to make another Yap video talking about my Ancestor mod sheet. So thank you guys. I hope you've enjoyed. If you did, please do smash that like button. And if you are new here, please do consider subscribing. I make plenty of videos on the first Descendant. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.